time in history, the Jacksonville Armada are in the postseason. It's playoff time in the NPSL here at Hodges Stadium. Hello, everybody. Cole Pepper here along with Mauricio Ruiz. And after 4 seasons of professional soccer for the Armada, the playoffs are finally here. And it's for the first time since 1981, Mauricio, that we're seeing some playoff soccer here in Jacksonville. Let's give a little bit of a recap of what's gotten the Armada to this point. The NASL, their former league, went to hibernation for a year, so the Armada looked for a league to play in. They found the NPSL, a little bit of a lower-level league in terms of the pyramid in soccer. They expected to dominate as they came into this league, and by and large, they have.
Well, at any given season that you start, you want to get to this point, which is a playoffs. And to get an opportunity tonight here at home against a very tough Miami United team, but first round of the playoffs is exactly where they want to be. Yeah,
the Miami United team you mentioned, the Armada have faced 3 times a loss in the U.S. Open Cup and 2 draws in league play. So Jacksonville looking for a victory here against Miami United for the first time this year. The players we'll be looking for today include the Armada captain, Kieran Kilduff. 6 goals this year, including Open Cup play, and he really sets the tone on the attack.
Yeah, captain for the Armada, the player that does a lot more than just score goals. They're going to certainly be looking at him for goal-scoring opportunities, but a player that does a lot off the ball as well. Certainly one of the main players for the Armada.
And for Miami United, Tomas Granito, who scored a goal in the U.S. Open Cup victory for Miami United against the Armada. And he's certainly a player who can help trigger their attack.
Boy, in the Jacksonville Armada, I remember him pretty well. That was a bullet of a shot from distance, and that's what Thomas Granito can bring to you. He's a deep-line center midfield player that orchestrates a lot of what happens for them offensively.
He also got a red card the last time these two sides played in a match that saw both teams finish with 10 men. Just moments away from kickoff here at Hodges Stadium. On the left is Mark Lowry, the head coach of the Armada. He's flanked by Aaron Pitch-Colin, last year the captain of the Armada, this year serving as an assistant coach. And we are underway, the Armada in the dark blues with Miami United in the colorful pink and aqua with the black shorts. These two sides playing today. The winner will take on Miami FC in South Florida on Saturday in the conference finals. Then beyond that, the Armada, Miami FC, Miami United, whoever's alive, will go on to the regionals in the NPSL. Throw in sent back in by the Armada. Here's Mikey Melvin playing it towards the middle. Coming toward it is Maximiliano Shenfield. We've seen him coming forward from his defensive midfield position for Miami United. Mauricio, Mark Lowry described Miami United as a team that makes it difficult on you just with the way they play. What did he mean?
Well, they're defensively really tough, Cole. You think it's a team out of Miami where it's mostly a Latin Caribbean team, which has been nothing but offensive firepower. But there's a very greedy team defensively. They make you earn everything.
Here's the ball played through. Gebhardt trying to make a run. He's cut off by Alusma Pierre, the Haitian right back, who's able to cut it off. We'll watch closely for Gebhardt, whose pace is one of the constants this year. He has caused everybody problems streaking down that left side for the Armada.
Boy, in the last couple of games, Coach Lowry has started using Kilduff as a second forward and really coming in underneath and picking up the ball and allowing Derek Gebhardt, with the pace, as you mentioned, to be the one that runs in behind a little bit more. So you're going to see Kilduff, even though he's our leading goal scorer, come back and get the ball a whole lot more tonight.
Long ball played ahead. Wes Sharpie settles it on the right wing. Sharpie scored a couple of goals this year for the Armada, his first as a pro. Played back to Mikey Melvin, the Nice High School product. He'll chip it forward. Here's another local product, Joshua Castellanos, who got a little shove along the side. The Armada able to regain possession. Now a ball played all the way across, and Diego Reskin is there to send it forward for Miami United. Talk about some of the local connections here for this Armada team. You see Mikey Melvin there. Melvin went to Nice and then on to Clemson in his professional career. Castellanos, also a Nice grad, who started his college career at Trinity Baptist and played most of his soccer here at Hodges Stadium, playing for UNF. Really has had a tremendous first season for the Armada.
Boy, I think you can easily say that the young players for the Armada this year, you even talk about young McInerney playing at the central center back position, Mike and Melvin playing that left back or left center back position, they've just done tremendous. But can't speak enough on Joshua Castellanos and what he's meant offensively and work rate for this team.
Played along the ground, but Connor Doyle able to step in front of it. Miami keeps possession. I was just out on the field before kickoff. It is warm in the sun. The shade does help. And as this game goes on, we'll see if the heat becomes a factor on any of the legs. Castellanos battling for it with Schenfeld, and a foul on the Miami United defender.
You know, and I mentioned how greedy they are defensively, and that's not to take away from anything they do offensively. One of the better offensive teams in the league, goal differential, second in the league behind Miami FC, a team that can produce a lot offensively, make you work for it defensively, but they're a good team on the ball. They knock the ball around, and they really make you hunt it as much as possible. If the Armada can control possession early in the first half and not give up anything in the back line, this should be a good game for them. Otherwise, Miami United will make you pay.
Miami United, the only team in the NPSL to beat both Jacksonville and Miami FC, the two former NASL sides this year. They've certainly hung their hat on that. They also made a deep run in the U.S. Open Cup, which included a win over the Armada at JU. And wound up, after that third-round win, going on to lose to Orlando City in the U.S. Open Cup. Kickoff wanted a penalty called there in the box, didn't get it.
Well, that's going to be a good matchup all game long. Pierre, number 4, strong center back, leader of their back line, and Kickoff knowing to get a little bit dirty as a forward, as a true target forward. As we mentioned, he's going to come back and get the ball, but he likes to get mixed up inside the box.
We also should detail sort of the travails of the Armada. There has been so much uncertainty that this team has overcome. Didn't know which league they were going to play in, didn't know if they would be allowed to play in the U.S. Open Cup, and didn't know how things would translate here in the NPSL. All have been answered in the affirmative. And while Mark Lowry said from the outset of the season his goal was to win a championship in the NPSL, this is their first step on that path.
Well, I think it's been exactly that for the season, for the players on this team and for the staff. Taking one game at a time, not really knowing, as you aforementioned, what the future of the team was going to be, what league they were going to play on. They've cemented themselves into the NPSL and the Sunshine Conference. They're in the playoff now. They have an opportunity to write one more chapter in their Armada history book.
Now a chip of the goalkeeper on a long one from about 40 yards away. Brian Holt racing back, got a hand on it, and it will be a corner kick for Miami United. And Holt, who has had clean sheets in 3 of his last 5 matches, just about caught off his line.
Boy, and you see that silly turnover from their Armada in the back line, and a player that we mentioned in pregame, Thomas Granito. He can strike from distance. He's a player that we've seen him do it before, and Holt was able to backtrack and just get enough of a hand on it. But those are the mistakes that I mentioned that Armada cannot afford to give early in this game against a very good offensive team.
They're the kind of mistakes that Miami United has taken advantage of often this year. Corner kick taken by Schenfeld. In-swinger went over everybody. So an opportunity there for Miami United early on goes by the wayside.
Yes, set pieces will eventually determine games. So you can't allow yourself to give up corner kicks, fouls around the box, a team that both teams really have an ability. We saw Mishak Jerome last week with a beautiful free kick on top of the box. Miami United have players with that capability as well.
Sharpie with the throw-in, gets it back from Mishak Jerome, the Haitian international. There are some real veteran presences on this Armada side, in addition to young players like Gebhardt, who's just 22. But Mishak Jerome, Kieran Kilduff, and Yuma, probably the 3 most notable guys who have played at a very high level and who continue to play here. Mishak Jerome played for Haiti just a month and a half ago in a World Cup warm-up match against Messi and Argentina. So that's the level of competition Mishak is used to playing.
Yeah, Mishak is a next level type of player. When he's able to connect everything, when he has a complete game, he's about as good as you need a center back to be. Sometimes he has some mental breakdowns that allows the other team to get a little bit closer in the game than they should. But man, his passing range, his ability to distribute the ball to the back is fantastic.
J.C. Banks able to dig it out of there. Now Castellanos out wide, has help in the middle. Banks coming down the middle, making a run, and gives the Armada the early lead. 8th minute. J.C. Banks from Joshua Castellanos, and the Armada are on top early.
Cool, and just as we mentioned, talking about some leadership on this team, the one name you did not mention is a goal scorer, J.C. Banks, number 10. Although he put the ball in, he had a lot of work to do still. What a lovely ball from Joshua Castellanos, young rookie player, first-time pro, playing a beautiful penetrating ball to the running J.C. Banks. He had a lot of work to do and slots it right past the goalkeeper.
So the Armada up 1-0 here on Miami United, and it was the work of Castellanos early on, and then he was able to set up Banks. Not an easy finish for Banks at all with the way that ball was bouncing back to him.
No, it was a lovely first touch with his right foot. Sets himself up nice and easy. Really nothing the defender could do, and he saw that on the replay. The lovely ball from Joshua Castellanos with his left foot. Not an easy ball to play, but J.C. Banks does really well to settle that down and put it away.
That's the 6th goal of the year for J.C. Banks, and it matches Kieran Kilduff for the team lead this year in all competitions. Banks, a former Minnesota United player, son of a former pro.
That's a really good start here for the Armada, Cole. That's the kind of start that they wanted the game. Now it's important for them not to settle down, continue to press forward, and try to get that second goal. As I mentioned, is the only team this year that Armada have not had much success against. 2 ties and a loss in U.S. Open Cup.
And we should mention as well, Miami United, not a team that gives up many goals. As you mentioned, they've only had one match in NPSL play where they've given up multiple goals. They lost that one, as you might imagine, but the way they have played this year have been very stingy, very physical on the defense, and that 2-1 loss to Palm Beach United, really the reason why they're the road team in this 2 versus 3 seed matchup in the postseason. Here is Gebhard making a run down the middle. He's got Kilduff to his left. Sharpie coming on the right. Sharpie, can he get there? Does not get there in time. Good idea for Gebhard with Sharpie making a long run. He had open space, but the pass just a bit wide. Yeah,
you can see Derek Gebhard going out with pace. He's looking for Kilduff, couldn't quite catch up. And just sloppy pass out wide to Sharpie. It was a good opportunity for their man to get out on the break.
One of the things that Mark Lowry, the head coach, has talked about is wanting to get goals early, get several goals early, pile them up. That can really change the game. Just getting one goal can change the game here in the opening 10 minutes.
Well, you often talk that you dominate the game by possession, but you really control the game with a scoreline. And going up 1-0 within 10 minutes in the first half allows you to control the pace of the game a little bit more. If you want to sit in a little, if you want to press up a little, you really control with the scoreline. You can still dominate possession and be on the losing end, but having a goal up for you, especially early in the game, changes everything.
Castellanos got his shoulder in just a bit on Cesar Tejera, and Alberto Escobar, the referee in the middle of the park, trying to separate the two verbally.
You talked about the Miami United team being a very physical team. It's a little bit of a rivalry has built up with their Armada and Miami United in the first season playing against each other in the NPSL. We've seen in the U.S. Open Cup game, it's a lot of physical play, a lot of one-on-one, a lot of personal tackles out on the field. The longer this game carries on, it's important that both teams stay disciplined. It's a little sloppy there from the Armada trying to clear that ball.
There's Brian Holt, former New York Cosmos backup, and has gotten the opportunity here. Played his college soccer at Creighton. Did spend some time with the Philadelphia Union, so he's a well-traveled player, and at 29, getting his most extensive play this year for the Armada. Here's Kilduff playing it wide for J.C. Banks. Now Connor Doyle tried to put it along the ground, cut off by the Miami United defense. They, as mentioned, can make it very difficult playing the style that the Armada want to play, which is possession, keep the ball along the ground, and the defending that Miami United employs really counteracts that. Mark Lowry mentioning that in the training session yesterday, that Miami United just really clogs things up, and they can make it, they want to make it more of an ugly game than the Armada, who want to make it more of a beautiful game.
Well, and that's what's important, especially now with the 1-0 lead, for the Armada to be patient in their attacking half, not try to get to goal and try to get that second goal right away, but make this Miami United team defend a little bit in their own half. They want to come out and press high, as you see there. Victor Palais, actually, I'm sorry, that's Nicholas Mikoli, coming out and pressing high. Once the Armada have possession in their attacking half, keep it there for a spell, make them defend, make them make mistakes. Otherwise, this could be a track meet all game long.
Now those two forwards, Victor Pillay and Nicholas McCauley, like to poach up high and typically are opportunistic in their goal scoring. Pillay had a hat trick against Storm FC earlier this year. Now here is Daryl Gordon back to Schenfeld. Now Cesar Tejera, who wears the captain's armband for Miami United. Given away, Mishak Jerome will send it forward for Jacksonville.
You're talking about the two Miami United forwards, both big bodies. They both like to be inside the box forwards. Rarely you see teams nowadays playing that more traditional 4-4-2, as you see Miami United playing more of a diamond in the midfield, but two true forwards up top. They just make it really difficult for you to come out and press.
And with the Armada playing three at the back, how does that affect the way Jacksonville has to defend?
Well, what Miami United have actually done defensively here, they split their both center forwards to mark up the left center back and the right center back, and Mishak Jerome and Mikey Melvin respectfully. And they're allowing Bautista Dominguez, number 18 in the midfield, to really be the one that presses more. So this is good play from their Armada, but that's not the part of the field that they want to do this at. They want to do it higher up the field with much more urgency. Otherwise, mistakes and little things like this will happen all game long.
And the veteran midfielder Yuma is down. They've gotten stepped on. Yuma, who played in La Liga, was with Rayo Vallecano, then came across when Rayo started an NASL side in Oklahoma City. And a yellow card pulled on, I believe they're going to get Dominguez with the yellow card.
Yeah, you're going to see Yuma with his veteran play all game long, really trying to get the referee on his side as much as possible. He's usually the peacekeeper, but Yuma's not strange to start a load of controversy in there and trying to get in the head of their opponents.
It originally looked like he pulled the card on Tejera, but I believe it was Dominguez who was the one who stepped on Yuma early on. The Armada with the lead and have seen a yellow card pulled on Miami United here. Dominguez, an important part of Miami's both attack and their defense, playing in that midfield role. Keep a close eye on that.
See Mishak Jerome on a tough tackle on McCauley. It's important that Mishak has a good game today for their Armada. Out of the back, defensively, not giving up anything. Like two really strong forwards.
Long pass for Gebhardt. Couldn't quite control it. We've seen all year long and going back the last couple of years with Mishak playing for Jacksonville, the kind of pinpoint long-range passing that he deploys, it is unlike almost anybody else you'll see at this level.
Really, at any level. His ability, his passing ability out of the back and his set pieces alike are about as good as you're going to see at any level. Now, it's the completion of other aspects of his game that really, when he comes together, as I mentioned, he's a top-level player.
Miami United players, after the foul called on Jacksonville, having a word with Alberto Escobar.
Where you're going to see the referee being really busy tonight, Cole. Two teams that like to get after. They like to step on players. They don't mind getting physical. It's a lot of lip back and forth.
And again, as we have mentioned in the past, with Miami United, a team that certainly fancies themselves as one of the top in the Sunshine Conference. And now they get joined by a couple of teams that came down from the NASL this year in Miami FC and the Armada. And in some regard, you have to think that they feel like they're protecting the home turf in this league and maybe got a little bit of an attitude from time to time with both the Armada and Miami FC. Certainly paid off well for them getting victories over both sides this year.
Well, and I think that's exactly, I think that was a chip on their shoulder, and they've done well all season long. They dropped games that they shouldn't have dropped, but against the big dogs in Miami FC and Armada, they've showed up and they play. So they feel confident coming in here into Hodges Stadium and getting a win against Armada. Now, they have a lot of work to do, being down 1-0, playing on the road.
There's Gebhardt coming back for it now. And in between three Miami United defenders. Gebhardt lost it, but the Armada will maintain possession. Throw in coming for Jacksonville in the attacking end. 18th minute here at Hodges Stadium. First ever playoff game in Jacksonville Armada history, and it happens at home here in the NPSL. Gebhardt can't control the header. Gebhardt, talked about him in the past, the son of Navy parents. Really connected well here in Jacksonville in terms of the military community. Dad's been stationed here.
And just a good young man that has a lot of potential. And Coach Lowry really has taken him under his wing to help him develop as a player. And he's got the speed, he's got the 1v1 ability, but other areas of this game needed to be developed, and someone needed to, to give him a chance. And Coach Lowry speaks so highly on his work ethic and his ability to keep growing as a young player.
As we mentioned, he can really run. Probably going to be the fastest guy out there in just about any occasion, any match. He can just absolutely fly.
Well, and if you've noticed, he's really stayed more on the right-hand side of the forward position, really staying on top of David Navarro, number 6, which is the slowest out of the 2 center backs. So any opportunity they might have to string him up, especially as Miami starts pressing a little bit higher up the field, if there's a matchup between Derek Gebhardt and David Navarro, better be careful because he's going to burn him with speed.
Miami United came in having won 2 and drawn 3 in their last 5. 2 of those draws came against the Armada. Jacksonville 3-1-1 in their last 5. And Jacksonville also had to play the final week of the season. Miami United had completed all of their league games, so they had a chance to rest a little bit. We'll see if that comes into play at all as the match unfolds. Castellanos hit as he was trying to send the ball forward, and the former UNF Osprey is down.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it's going to be a physical game all game long. It is warm on the field. The shadows are starting to take over the majority part of the field, but it's still going to be a humid evening for both teams to play. And you can see there, Castellanos was just going, and Sheffield really no malice behind it, and Castellanos just caught his leg.
Shenfield, young Chilean. There are a lot of countries represented on this Miami United side. And Castellanos dumped again and ran into the Miami United player on the roll. And Tejera went down. Castellanos wanting the foul in advance. And more conversations coming. We saw this in both of the NPSL league fixtures as well as U.S. Open Cup. A lot of talking. And here is the goalkeeper, Peterson Oxenad, who just got a yellow card.
And these are the kind of theatrics that really aren't necessary in the game. He may have an opinion of what happened on a play in the midfield. It's not Peterson's position to run into the middle of the field from his box and start charging at the referee. As we mentioned, very, very busy night for our official, Alberto Escobar. And so far, he's handled it well. He's called the fouls they need to call. He hasn't allowed anything to go. Miami United and Armada alike are going to be very heated if things start going. A lot of stoppage right now in play. A lot of players being on the ground. 2 really good teams that just need to keep the ball rolling, make this an entertaining game.
Shenfield tried to get around Sharpie, but Meshach Jerome was there to send a moon ball forward. Gebhardt couldn't get to the second ball off the header from Kilduff, tracked down by Daniel Navarro for Miami United. So far, the Armada have by and large been the more dangerous side, and they have the only goal. Here's Shenfield. Beg your pardon, that's Gordon. Puts the brakes on, sends it back to the captain, Tejera. Changing fields now. Victor Pillay played inside the box. Not cleared out all the way by Sharpie. But Castellanos got there to send it ahead. And nicely to get it to Kilduff, who was able to hold it up for Jacksonville.
Yeah, right now both teams really playing a lot in the middle third of the field. Not a whole lot going on in either goalkeeper's boxes outside of that one chance from their Armada and that distant shot from Miami United. A lot of silly turnovers in the midfield, as we've seen there. A lot of fouls in the midfield, but a lot really being played in the center territory of the park.
It has to feel about like Mark Lowry expected it to be in terms of pace of play and style, and he has to be pleased to be up a goal here early.
Well, so far, yeah, absolutely. You're 22 minutes in. You really haven't allowed much in your own box.
This one coming into the box. Holt coming off his line and able to rise over a couple of players, including his own center back, Shane McInerney, to grab that one.
Yeah, and just a little too easy for Wesley Sharpie and Joshua Castellanos, primarily allowing Shenfield to get an early cross into the box and not really challenge. Brian Holt does a good job of coming out of the air and grabbing that, but Brian Holt not necessarily the tallest of keepers. See, Joshua Castellanos has got to shorten that space between him and the wide player and not allow so much pressure and such an easy ball into the box.
Yeah, Holt listed at just 5'9". Most keepers 6 foot or well taller, but very good with his feet as well, and you'll see that come into play the way the Armada like to play out of the back.
Well, and that's really a priority for Coach Lowry and how he wants his team to operate out of the back. Center backs that can handle the ball, but certainly a goalkeeper that pretty much steps in and plays as a fourth center back out of possession. But don't let his 5'9" frame fool you. He's very, very good in there. His timing from crosses, as you saw in this previous play, is very good.
Certainly has shown toughness going up
Absolutely.
after balls all season long. Here's Connor Doyle. Played ahead by Mikey Melvin. Now Castellanos. Can't control it in the midfield. Pierre able to dig it out of there for Miami United. Castellanos, who just runs all over the place. If you have a mileage tracker on every player, I think Castellanos would probably lead the team this year in terms of total miles run. He just has an inexhaustible battery.
Yeah, and he reminds me a lot of a player that we saw early today in the semifinals of the World Cup in Modric, and just in the engine that he has, not just so much on the ability. Obviously, Modric is a special player, but the fact that he just doesn't stop running. He always feels like he's got another gear left in him.
Nice little 1-2 touch, almost got through. Mishak Jerome there to send it away. Now a shot from distance and a little over-ambitious perhaps for Miami United.
And you see the last couple of minutes here, Miami United is trying to get their tempo in place, trying to get a load of combinations. Dominguez number 18, playing that attacking midfield role, the top of the diamond in the center mid. Very creative player and attacking style player in front of the box. He's going to look to combine with those two center forwards. And Armada so far doing a good job. But Miami United is trying to feel the game a little bit more.
That matchup with the midfield of Tejera, the Miami United goal captain, as well as Castellanos, the youngster, going to be an interesting one to watch once again tonight. Holt will play it forward, and again, sloppy turnover for the Armada.
You've seen the game has really been played in the last 5 minutes here, Cole, in the Armada's defensive half, just with turnovers, and Miami just trying to have a little bit more success.
This one thrown all the way through. Holt able to handle it.
Miami with a really high line, pressing high, and really not so much with a high press, but just as we mentioned before, just making it difficult, closing down as many gaps as possible, not allowing the Armada to get forward with their possession. Staying almost man to man. You see everyone in a pink jersey just matched up with a blue jersey on the field.
Banks came right through a Miami United player, right in front of the Miami United bench.
Yeah, very agitated bench for their Armada as things start kind of getting close to their bench and start getting a little bit questionable. You see their bench can be very animated throughout the game.
Diego Reskin, who hit the deck. There may be some comparisons to Neymar in some regard by the time this match is over. Ball in the box, and it's a header, and it's in, and we're level as the Armada gave it up on an early throw-in. Nicholas McCauley, and it's 1-1 here in the 26th minute.
And we mentioned the turnovers that the Armada are playing with fire inside their own half, and a really good service from out wide from Thomas Granito. And Nicholas McCauley just beats Yuma to the ball. Yuma really didn't even go up and challenge for it, and Brian Holt got caught halfway no man's land. The Miami United have been growing in this game the past few minutes and have a deserving goal here, making this game really interesting from this point on, Cole.
I hate to pick at a fresh wound for Mark Lowry, the Englishman and the Armada head coach, but he's seen a match start out 1-0 and turn out the wrong way today. And you see McCauley just crawling over the back of Yuma and able to redirect it in.
Well, you want to see how teams respond to goals and to adversity. And after the Armada went up 1-0, they really kind of settled into themselves, but hasn't really pushed forward, haven't really pressed into play. And Miami United, give them credit, they have responded well. They've gotten their fire back into them. In the last few minutes, they've been the team that's been playing a lot more attacking, and the Armada is just kind of playing defensive and making a lot of mistakes in the back line.
And Jacksonville looking to beat Miami United for the first time in 4 tries this year. 2 draws and the loss in the U.S. Open Cup that really sticks in the craw of Armada players and the coaching staff. They looked at the U.S. Open Cup, Mark Lowry did, as the kind of opportunity the Armada had to prove themselves against the top teams in the country. U.S. Open Cup includes teams from semi-pro teams up to MLS, and the Armada was a win away from taking on Orlando City. Didn't get the opportunity because Miami United snuck away with a victory at JU.
Well, and Miami United got to host Orlando City down at their park, and that's certainly missed opportunity for the Jacksonville Armada this year to have competed in the U.S. Open Cup further in the U.S. Open Cup and being able to host, as they have in the past, an MLS franchise coming into their park.
And another sloppy turnover for the Armada in a dangerous position. This one cleared out by McInerney, now headed away by Yuma. Now Gebhardt, after Yuma was fouled, Armada will have a chance to restart in their own end. The Armada, I'd say, owned the first 10 minutes. Next 10, pretty even. Since the 20th minute or so, Miami United has had the edge, and conversation going on right now across the field with the officials and the coaching staff for Miami United. Top right of your screen.
Yeah, just a bit of a reaction why that was a foul on Yuma. Certainly Miami United player coming a little bit late underneath Yuma as he went up and challenged for the ball. I think the referee's doing a good job so far. He's calling a tough physical game. He's keeping it fair in both ways. And the coaches on the sideline really just have to allow the players and the referee to be a part of the game in the middle.
There's Castellanos coming for it. Sharpie. Now to Yuma. Nice little string of possession here for the Armada. Sharpie had it tackled away, though, by Schenfeld. Here comes Tejera for Miami United, back the other way. Dominguez on the run. Miami United on the attack. Pelé came back for it. And Schenfeld will make the turn. Now Tejera back in the midfield. And a foul, and Yuma just saying, I'm standing here and this guy spins around me and goes down, and a yellow card on Yuma, who is going to be a bit nonplussed about it.
Yeah, and Yuma has to be careful here. In possession, he's been a little bit slow in possession. His Miami United players know him well enough. They know that he enjoys being on the ball, but he's a little bit slow at times in possession when he gets running with it. So they're applying a lot more pressure on Yuma because they know that's the secret for their Armada's possession going offensively. And as a defensive player, he knows what he's doing. He positions his body right in front between the player and the ball. It is a foul. It is a yellow card. He stopped a good counterattack opportunity. He knows that.
The first yellow card on the Armada. Here's a blast from distance. Oh, that had some smoke behind it. Holt had the goal covered and went far and wide. That's the kind of ball we usually see struck by Meshach Jerome for the Armada. This time, hit by the opposition. And that was Thomas Granito, the guy we signaled out early on.
Yeah, and that's Thomas Granito again from that deep line. Second set piece for Miami United that dangerously came close to Brian Holt. They've made Armada pay for the first one. Anything around inside the half and the final third, Armada have to be a lot more careful and a lot more diligent with the sloppy turnovers, the silly fouls, because Miami United, that's how they like to get back into the game.
There's Doyle playing one forward. Couldn't get it to Kilduff. Yuma comes back for it for Jacksonville. 1-1, an 8th-minute goal by J.C. Banks, the assist to Joshua Castellanos. And in the 26th minute, Nicholas McCauley leveled things for Miami United. Here's Banks, the goal scored tonight. Plays it wide for Wes Sharpie. Sharpie to the penalty spot. Header, Banks just wide of the goalkeeper, Peterson Oxenat. Banks being very active here in this playoff game.
Well, that's a much better piece of possession for their Armada there, Cole. They're possessing the ball going forward into the attacking half and getting numbers into the box. And it's a lovely ball from Wesley Sharpie coming back in on his left foot, and a great run by J.C. Banks. And you see J.C. Banks now playing a little bit higher with Derek Gebhardt and him have switched. Gebhardt going to the left wing back position, and J.C. Banks operating with Kildoff as a second forward now, a little more central.
Here's Yuma. Ball settles at his feet.
And you wonder if that's because the Armada just really haven't been able to keep possession in the front line. And Derek Gebhardt is typically a player that gets in behind. Not a whole lot of room to get in behind tonight just yet. So making that switch, J.C. Banks is better with his feet, coming back and getting the ball.
And Banks, certainly a guy who's comfortable playing in a central position.
Really anywhere on the field. We've seen J.C. Banks play anywhere on the field from the past couple of years that he's been here in Armada uniform.
Here's Castellanos losing it to Tejera. Thunderclap ringing out here at Hodges Stadium with the Armada supporters.
Good crowd here on a Wednesday night. at Hodges Stadium at campus of UNF.
Holt plays it back. McInerney can chip it forward. Melvin on a high bouncer. Gebhardt fighting for it. Got a hand in the face from Elusma Pierre. Gebhardt went down and earned the foul. There's that Icelandic thunderclap coming.
That's section 904 leading the charge, as always.
It was remarkable this year. A lot of road matches, all of them in the state of Florida in the Sunshine Conference, but there were multiple members of Section 904, the supporters group, that made an appearance in every road match.
Yeah, I think they've been loyal to this brand. They've been loyal to the city and to the players, and I think they're anxiously excited and waiting what's yet to come. What's the next move for the Armada at the conclusion of this NPSL season?
Yuma and Connor Doyle standing over for this restart. Yuma runs over it. Doyle hits a high floater. Castellanos couldn't get his head to it. Miami United takes back possession. Long ball down the middle. Too strong, and Meshach Jerome had blanketed Nicholas McCauley. So Holt will be able to play it with his feet here.
As Miami United team just continue to show how difficult they are to break through possession. A lot of negative passes for their Armada before they get forward. If they can get themselves into this area here with Mikey Melvin, JC Banks, rather than go backwards once again, you got to be able to turn and get forward and put some pressure on this back line.
Here's Mikey Melvin coming forward for Jacksonville. And he'll throw in coming for the Armada.
But the Armada are very good on a counter press. If they lose the ball high up the field, Cole, in possession, they can make you uncomfortable with the high press. They're difficult on the transition because you have a defensive mid in Yuma that's not necessarily athletic enough to recover the entire length of the field.
Melvin tried to get to the end line, but his cross was deflected. Armada will reset the attack from their own end.
So much better from their Armada there. And what I mentioned about the counter press high up the field and allowing Yuma just to play that sweeper role in the midfield and just pick up those loose balls.
Here's Jerome chipping one forward for Banks. Created a little space. A foul called on Banks for the shoulder bump.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit soft on Navarro. JC Banks, much smaller in size, gets underneath him a little bit. But the second AR there saw it differently.
They're level at 1. Final 9.5 minutes of regulation time in the first half. Likely to be a little stoppage time as well.
It's interesting in games, Cole, you know, the mental capacity of teams and individual players, how the momentum of games just absolutely changed. I mean, we've seen here in the past last 20 minutes, the game has just completely taken different turns. As you mentioned, first 10 minutes, Armada was on top, and then it shifted over to Miami United. The Armada have been a better team now after the equalizer.
Meshach Jerome falling down, blasts one about 60 yards to clear it out for the Armada. We've got 3 Haitians on the field right now. Jerome, who plays for the Haitian national team. Goalkeeper for Miami United, Peterson Oxenet, who has 10 caps for Haiti. And Elusma Pierre as well, the defender for Miami United. So Haiti well represented, 3 out of the 22 on the pitch right here. Here is Jerome. Now Sharpie. In the shady part of the field now to Connor Doyle. Doyle again. His father played professionally, played in the MISL indoor soccer. Played ahead to Kieran Kilduff. Now out wide for JC Banks. Banks swings one in. Kilduff tried to get ahead to it. Castellanos lost the physical battle there.
And that was well defended from Miami United with a service from JC Banks. But good bit of possession for their Armada in the attacking half. And once again, just being able to regain that ball after they possess high up the field with that immediate pressure, making the Miami United's transition offense really difficult.
If there is one guiding principle, one word that Mark Lowry talks about being the principle in which they want to play. That is possession. Maintain possession, win back possession.
Oh, absolutely. With the way that they want to play, they want to have the ball on their feet. So if in order to have as many success ratios as possible, you want to get it back right away.
Sharpie tried to split the defense. Tahara put a leg in there for Miami United. And here comes Dominguez for the visitors.
See Miami United after the equalizer. They took a breath as well. They know the game is a little bit more even now. They stopped pressing as high. They're a little more controlled in possession. Certainly a team that once they get into their rhythm, especially in the attacking half, they're very, very dangerous with the midfield players that are creative, they're technical, and they're two big bodies up top.
It'll be a throw for Miami United as Doyle came over to challenge Schenfeld.
And Doyle's been one of the players here that have changed the momentum for their Armada. He's been off the ball quite a bit, but his defensive presence and his pressing on the ball as soon as they lose has really changed the tempo of this game. He's often one of those players that we don't call upon his name much with a final pass or with a shot on goal. You know, he's had a couple this year. He's got the ability to shoot from range, but he's just been a really good co-pilot to Yuma in a center midfield, playing, do a lot of the dirty work and allowing players like Castellanos and Gebhardt to get more of that credit offensively. But without those two guys, Doyle and Yuma in the midfield, their Armada, they're a completely different team.
Coming up on the final 5 minutes of regulation time here in the first half. Boy, would a goal for the Armada change things so dramatically here as the teams get set to head to the dressing room.
And we haven't called on Kildoff's name too much in his first 36 minutes, almost 40 minutes of the game here. He's a player that Armada needs to get on the ball, whether it's coming back and getting a little bit deeper or getting the ball early in the box. He's good in the air.
And Banks pulled down. It'll be a free kick for Jacksonville in a dangerous spot here as Banks and Schenfeld got together. Daryl Gordon took the worst of it.
And you've seen in a lot of this beautiful last month that we've had here in the World Cup with a lot of games, what set pieces do to change the game. Late in the first half, late in the second half, set pieces just absolutely change the game. So we can't give up anything.
And a sub coming in now. Looks like Victor Pelé will come off, and Hugo Calais will come in.
Early substitution from Miami United. In the NPSL, you're allowed 7 substitutions, so not uncommon to make an early substitution in the first half, but we really haven't seen much, certainly not from their Armada side and some of their opponents. You wonder if it's more of an injury. Victor Pelé coming off, took his shin guards off, socks down, maybe a bit of an injury.
Calais has not played against the Armada
Miami United
this year.
Substitution coming in is number 15 Calais for number 9 Cordoso.
You wonder if that changes much for Miami United. I see Victor Pelé, number 9, that just left the field. Big body. He's been doing a good job defensively, just blocking off space.
Here's the restart for Jacksonville. Doyle. And didn't amount to anything for the Armada. Mikey Melvin has to play it out to avoid the counter. So we'll keep an eye on Calais to see how he impacts this contest. Pelé, as we mentioned, a guy who scored 5 goals this year, including a hat trick in one match this season for Miami United.
Yeah, definitely one of their go-to forwards there.
Now Dominguez making a run, and there's Meshach Jerome again. How many times over the last 4 years, have we said cleared out by Meshach Jerome, who was in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, and what we mean cleared out, he clears the ball out of the stadium, sometimes out of the complex. But man, you can just see Dominguez just sniffing at air for their Armada back line. He's just a player, he's always poaching. I called him a pit bull last game. Last time I played him, he played a little bit deeper in the midfield, more of a guy that broke up a lot of plays. Granito's doing that job tonight. but he's just playing a little more attacking role right underneath the two forwards. And he's just sniffing away at mistakes and forcing errors like corner kicks and set pieces around the goal.
I think as a veteran, 32-year-old Argentinian. Corner kick coming now for Miami United. Watch for Dominguez trying to creep in the box here. This one headed away nicely by Jacksonville. And a Miami United foul whistled as well in the box. That man, Alberto Escobar, has been very busy so far in this first half, as expected.
And so far, he's done a good job. He's calling the fouls as he sees it. He knows it's going to be a physical match, so he's making the game. He's bringing the momentum, the speed or the intensity of the game down a little bit, not allowing teams to kind of get carried away. He's been on top of every single play, so you really can't fault him for not having a good view of what's happening.
Long ball played forward. Gebhardt is onside. He's got Kilduff and Banks. Sharpie out wide. This one played out wide. Wes Sharpie waiting for reinforcements to settle. Now Michek Jerome coming forward. He swings one toward the top of the box. Doyle got a foot to it. Now Gebhardt again. Out wide for Castellanos. Melvin now will swing it in. Banks is there, chests it down. Kilduff taken down in the box, no whistle. They say play on.
And it's a lovely knockdown from J.C. Banks. There's a heads-up play, knowing that Kilduff is right underneath him. Kilduff just didn't have the position on the player.
Melvin again will swing one in. He'll have another chance at a cross. This one deflected as well. And headed out by Miami United.
And that's when the Armada are at their best, getting out wide, getting services in, having a player like Kilduff. He's just a poacher inside the box. It's a matter of time. But a player like him, he just needs more and more reps inside the box, and then he's gonna convert eventually.
Coming up at halftime, by the way, we'll hear from the president of the Armada, Nathan Walter, who will join us here to talk about the season, this match, and the future. Throw in coming for Jacksonville. 2 minutes of added time. 2 minutes of injury time added here.
And his tactical change for Coach Lowry really has worked, rotating Derek Gebhardt to the left-hand side. He wasn't able to retain a lot of possession in the midfield, allowing him to explore a lot more of his speed out wide.
Now a counter opportunity for Miami United. Granito playing it out wide. This shot over the bar. Holt had it eyed the whole way.
And I'll tell you what, if that's on frame, Cole, it might have surprised Holt because he's definitely expecting a cross there. Collins just doesn't keep the ball low enough, but a good counterattack from Miami United. But the last 7-8 minutes of the game, the Armada have just really found the rhythm back again, bringing J.C. Banks into more of that high central position and getting Derek Gebhardt to use his speed out wide a little bit more.
Final minute of injury time here for the Armada to try to create something. Long ball, Gebhardt with that speed on the run. Gebhardt back there alone, waiting for reinforcements to come. Now they do. Kilduff, and he lost his footing as he went to strike it. Otherwise, the Armada might be looking at a 2-1 advantage.
And that's a good heads-up play from young Derek Gebhardt, getting the ball over the top, going at the defender, and just waiting for his support to come. And Kilduff just bad balance on the shot, probably had time to take a touch and strike. But Derek Gebhardt starting to come to life on the left wing back position.
We saw Gebhardt really create a lot of opportunities in the final regular season match for the Armada on Saturday.
Well, he's just a matchup nightmare for someone when he gets faced up and he's going at someone. There's really no support like that play. He's just a matchup nightmare.
That's the end of the first half. An entertaining first half here in the first ever playoff game for the Armada. Jacksonville with a J.C. Banks goal. Nicholas McCauley scoring for Miami United. 1-1 at halftime.
Miami United FC 1. Want to cruise with Armada FC? Visit Jacksonville Travel Table on the main platform.
It's such a big market shift for me to step out there and pay all the closing costs on a refinance. There's a lot of skepticism. There's also just a lot of people misunderstand it. You know, they think it means that we're going to finance the closing costs, or we're going to add them onto their loan or add them onto the back of the loan. You know, we've closed tens of thousands of people under that program, and so they are the proof. You know, they are the proof that it's true. They are the proof that the fees weren't hidden anywhere. They're the proof that there was no gotcha. I just paid their closing costs.
I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding, and I've saved our customers over $40 million in closing costs. With home values being at an all-time high, smart homeowners are using their home equity now more than ever. Your home equity could be the best way to finance home improvements, consolidate debt, make investments, or even large purchases. But don't use your home equity to pay closing costs. Let me pay them instead. Visit rpfunding.com or call today. I'm Robert Palmer, and I have a special offer for home buyers. Just bundle RP Funding and Listed.com to buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs. Buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs. Buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs.
No closing costs on a home purchase. Well, that could be a game changer.
Listed.com, because closing costs are for the birds.
Whoa, closing costs are for the birds? What the heck is that supposed to mean?
Right now, because the housing market is on fire and inventory is low, multiple people are trying to buy the same house. And I've tried to put as many things in place as I can to help give our RP Funding clients an edge. Whether it's our validated pre-approval, it's asking for less closing costs because we don't have lender fees, anything we can do to use the power of our brand and our strength in the community to try to help our customer, our client, win out to help you get that home you want.
Halftime in Jacksonville, the first ever home playoff game for the Armada, the first ever playoff game of any kind for the Armada. It is 1-1 between Jacksonville and Miami United, and we have plenty to talk about, not only about today's match, about this year, and about the future. We're joined by the president of the Armada, Nathan Walter. Well, let's give your chance to give you your analysis on what's happened so far in this one, a 1-1 halftime score.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only got to see the last 20 minutes, so I have another thing tonight. But the last 20 minutes I saw the goal we conceded, and then I've seen us dominate the play from there. So, yeah, we'll see what they come out in the second half. I think if we can keep playing the way we're playing, I think we'll pull it back and be in the position we need to be.
All right, well, let's talk about this year, because it certainly has not been a conventional season by any stretch of the imagination. How do you sort of put this into perspective? How do you unpack the season of 2018 for the Armada?
Yeah. Well, we talk about flexibility, right? And we talk about being able to adapt and so on and so on. And I believe we've done that this year. But it's still been great. I mean, we still had good products on the field. We've been successful. You can see by the crowd tonight, people are still engaged. The community's been engaged. The media over the last 3-4 days has been unbelievable. So, yes, the NPSL, it's offered us a place to play. Has it gave us competitive games? I think we've seen that this year. We've seen competitive games. So I don't think anybody out there would have said that the quality in players has decreased or whatever. There are some pieces of it. But yeah, I think in general, we're happy with how the year's gone of pure flexibility.
And how do you think Coach Lowry and his team have come together, being able to be in this position, to be able to host a playoff game tonight with a relatively small roster, in essence, what he's used to being able to manage, and a lot of road games, a lot of midweek games on the road?
Yeah, absolutely. Manage the roster is important. We kept a small roster for a reason this year, and I think we've managed it very well. It's been tough. The demand on the players over the last 6 weeks has been incredible. I mean, we've played Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, so it's been pretty intense. And for us to be in this position, I mean, you look at this conference still. I mean, you have Miami FC, who have an unbelievable roster that we've seen in the NASL. They won the NASL, and they still have a majority of those players from that roster. We see Miami United here.
Very difficult team.
They're a difficult team to play. I mean, there's some ex-pros on there, who have played in high levels in El Salvador and Bolivia and so on and so on. So, I mean, the talent it's difficult, and I think Mark's done a tremendous job.
Yeah,
one to motivate the players to compete at this level and get out there and put on a product. And as you know, we have a very complex way of playing, and it's not easy. So I think it's a compliment to these players that they've showed how they can play under these circumstances and in such a complex system.
All right, so that's the present, and I think a lot of people want to know about the future. What's happening? Where are things going with this club, and what's happening next?
Yeah, I mean, we're working hard. I assure you, we're working hard behind the scenes. You know, we had a town hall meeting this evening, sorry. Just a discovery phase in potential stadium sites and so on and so on. We met with some residents and community leaders, and it was very positive. There was some real positive stuff come out of it. We are constantly looking at what next year looks in regards to leagues and so on and so on. So there's plenty of moving parts, and everybody's motivated to still keep being successful and moving this forward. And I can say that with this crowd, I mean, this crowd's fantastic tonight.
Yeah, the support of the community has been steady all season long, and you can see it now when the team really needs it the most. Section 904 and definitely the youth academy players just have a lot of importance, a lot of influence in what's happening this year.
All right, let's get you a prediction. What are we going to see in the second half? What's Mark telling these guys in the locker room?
I'm sure he's getting after him. If I know Mark, and I know I did see the goal that we conceded, and that is a huge no-no for us. Mark prides himself on organising, on defending on set pieces and so on and so on. So he'll be hugely disappointed with the team that they've conceded a goal like that. So I think he'll make some tweaks now. You know, he's a very analytical person. He takes things in real detail. So he'll break down now what he feels the weaknesses are of Miami. How can we complement that with the players that we currently have on the field and potentially on the bench. And I think we're going to see some changes, and I think this team is going to get motivated for the next 45 minutes. It's do or die now. It's playoff football.
We'll take a look at the first half when we come back. Nathan Walter, president of the Armada, thanks.
Thank you, Carl.
As always, to have you up here.
You,
more to come straight ahead from Hodges Stadium. 1-1 at halftime, the Armada and Miami United.
After years of paying closing costs to help homeowners refinance and access equity with RP funding, I'm now helping home sellers and buyers with my new real estate company, Listed.com. When you sell your home with Listed.com, I'll pay your closing costs. Then buy your next home with Listed.com, and I'll pay your closing costs again. Combined, that's an average savings over $12,200. To sell or buy, visit Listed.com because closing costs are for the birds.
It's such a big market shift for me to step out there and pay all the closing costs on a refinance. There's a lot of skepticism. There's also just a lot of people misunderstand it. You know, they think it means that we're going to finance the closing costs, or we're going to add them onto their loan or add them onto the back of the loan. You know, we've closed tens of thousands of people under that program, and so they are the proof. You know, they are the proof that it's true. They are the proof that the fees weren't hidden anywhere. They're the proof that there was no gotcha. I just paid their closing costs.
I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding, and I've saved our customers over $40 million in closing costs. With home values being at an all-time high, smart homeowners are using their home equity now more than ever. Your home equity could be the best way to finance home improvements, consolidate debt, make investments, or even large purchases. But don't use your home equity to pay closing costs. Let me pay them instead. Visit rpfunding.com or call today. For years, I've been paying closing costs to help homeowners refinance their mortgage. I get asked all the time, will you ever pay closing costs to help home buyers? I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding, and today the answer is yes. Just bundle RP Funding with my new real estate company, Listed.com, and when you buy a home, I'll pay your closing costs. To refinance or access equity, visit rpfunding.com. To buy a home, visit Listed.com, because closing costs are for the birds.
Halftime at Hodges Stadium on the UNF campus. The Armada won, Miami United won. Here in this playoff game, first of its kind in Jacksonville for the Armada, and first since the team end had a playoff game. Let's take a look at the first half highlights. And the Armada able to get out to an early lead. 8th minute, J.C. Banks finding Derek Gebhardt, and then Castellanos returns it to Banks, who did the rest.
Yeah, and you see there a lovely exchange of possession from Gebhardt to Joshua Castellanos, and eventually lovely touch by J.C. Banks, and puts it away early in the game for the Armada.
That got Section 904 riled up. The Armada then saw Miami United start to claw their way back, and in the 26th minute, This one set up. Nicholas McCauley able to put it away. Thomas Granito on the set piece.
Yeah, really just silly here from the Armada, just turning off. You see our veteran Yuma just dropping his shoulders and allowing a Miami United player to come on top of him.
Some of the stats in the first half certainly would indicate a contest that was played largely in the midfield. That, sometimes you see numbers that, and you could say, boy, this team really dominated, that team really dominated. Not so much the case here with some of these numbers at halftime. Shots on goal limited by and large. 3 shots on goal for Miami United, 1 for the Armada, and it found the net. 3 shots in total for the Armada. And corner kicks, some opportunities there for sure on the corners for both sides.
When you see that change as the game goes on. It's a playoff game, so do or die game. So neither team are really going to give up a whole lot in the first half. But now you have a tight game. You have 45 minutes that determines your season. So both teams now they're going to fill each other out in the beginning of the second half, and then eventually they're going to start opening themselves up for opportunities.
We'll also mention that there were 3 yellow cards pulled in the first half, including 1 for Yuma for Jacksonville, 2 on Miami United. So we'll see how those yellow cards play out in terms of tactics and approach in the second half.
Well, and that's a referee, our center official, Escobar, really doing a good job of an early, very physical game. A team or 2 teams that have the history of really getting after each other, of controlling the game, bringing it down, letting them know that I am going to caution you. So both teams are warned now. Players on teams are warned. Second half should be much cleaner.
One of those yellow cards, by the way, on the goalkeeper, Peterson Oxenat. Not likely to see a goalkeeper get 2 yellows, although Oxenat got it for dissent, coming out to argue at a point in that first half. Tactically, where do the Armada need to go at this point?
Well, I like the tactical change that they made in the last 20 minutes by putting Derek Gebhardt. I think they're going to continue to apply that pressure to the Miami United back line, make them uncomfortable, because once the United get a lot of possession in the midfield, they really get into the rhythm of their game. So I want to continue to see them press up high and make Miami United uncomfortable and try to get that second goal right away.
Now the Armada, an early goal would go a long way to advancing to take on Miami FC as the Armada continue to try to find that next goal against Miami United. Again, Miami United has only conceded multiple goals in 1 NPSL game out of 12 this year. Can the Armada find another one? Find out when we come back. Second half straight ahead, the Armada and Miami United in the NPSL playoffs.
I'm Robert Palmer, and I have a special offer for home buyers. Just bundle RP Funding and Listed.com to buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs. Buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs. Buy a home, and I'll pay your closing costs.
No closing costs on a home purchase. Well, that could be a game changer.
Listed.com, because closing costs are for the birds.
Whoa, closing costs are for the birds? What the heck is that supposed to mean?
I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding, and I've saved our customers over $40 million in closing costs. With home values being at an all-time high, smart homeowners are using their home equity now more than ever. Your home equity could be the best way to finance home improvements, consolidate debt, make investments, or even large purchases. But don't use your home equity to pay closing costs. Let me pay them instead. Visit rpfunding.com or call today.
Right now, because the housing market is on fire and inventory is low, multiple people are trying to buy the same house. And I've tried to put as many things in place as I can to help give our RP Funding clients an edge. Whether it's our validated pre-approval, it's asking for less closing costs because we don't have lender fees, anything we can do to use the power of our brand and our strength in the community to try to help our customer, our client, win out to help you get that home you want.
After years of paying closing costs to help homeowners refinance and access equity with RP Funding, I'm now helping home sellers and buyers with my new real estate company, Listed.com. When you sell your home with Listed.com, I'll pay your closing costs. Then buy your next home with Listed.com, and I'll pay your closing costs again. Combined, that's an average savings over $12,200. To sell or buy, visit Listed.com because closing costs are for the birds.
The Armada coming back out onto the pitch, ready for the second half. Jacksonville and Miami United The date against Miami FC in South Florida still to come. Mark Lowry has been pointing to the postseason ever since Miami United ended the Armada's run in the U.S. Open Cup. It's maybe fitting and maybe ironic that these are the two teams that meet here tonight.
Well, absolutely, and you heard from Nathan Walters, club president, GM, how analytical Coach Lowry is. So he's been dissecting every game to detail, and he's takes every opportunity to continue to coach this young team. He's got 45 minutes to bring in really an entire season into fruition here to come out with a victory and go down to Miami FC and try to get this playoff first playoff win under his belt and for Jacksonville Armada's history.
Trying to keep an eye out. You heard Nathan Walter, the Armada president, saying that he expected perhaps some personnel changes in the second half. Doesn't look like the Armada are making any changes at halftime. That's not unusual. Typically, you would see Mark Lowry play at least through till about the 60th minute or so before he started considering any changes, unless it was a very dire situation, which it certainly isn't at this point.
Well, his players are very flexible. You talk about J.C. Banks, Castellanos, Derek Gebhardt. Players have played multiple roles this season. Talk about having a limited roster, so players have had to play multiple roles. So I anticipate there being a tactical adjustment. You see him talking to J.C. Banks and Joshua Castellanos coming out of the break. So see how he's going to utilize those two playing on the right-hand side. Interesting to see how Miami United, if they're going to make any changes, if they're going to start pressing up the game a little bit more. Tied game, 1-1. Really even first half, if you ask me. There's some momentum shifts here and there. Not a whole lot of chances in front of either goal. So now as long as this game continues a 1-1 and a gridlock, eventually something's going to change, and then the game would open up.
Miami United will kick off to start the second half. And we're underway. 45 minutes gone, 45 minutes to go. And the winner advances to the conference finals. Jacksonville or Miami United. Who will it be? Here's Miami United in possession. Luzma Pierre playing it wide for Diego Reskin. Now chipped forward. McInerney went for a header. Batista got a piece of him as he did. And the foul called on Batista, who's not going to be very happy. Batista Dominguez.
Yeah, and I think he's got a reason not to be happy on that one. McInerney is really the one that lowered down his head. Batista didn't do much but reach for the ball and around his midsection. And the AR there called a dangerous play on Batista, but really McInerney just lowered his head into a play in a really non-dangerous area on the field.
There is Connor Doyle for Jacksonville, carrying it forward. Played out wide. Wes Sharpie. Sharpie making the turn. Played back to McInerney. Descended all the way down. Not a fast start for the Armada here.
No, not really. And you can see Miami United with Thomas Granito. He's switched roles a little bit with Cesar Tejera, playing a little bit higher up the field, closer to Dominguez. And you can see him start to apply a little bit more pressure into their Armada's back line, not allowing them to have as much possession as they had at the end of the first half.
This one kicked free by Mikey Melvin, triggering Gebhardt on the run. He's got Banks to his left. J.C. Banks has one goal already, a deflection, and it goes in. J.C. Banks trying to cross it, and it went off of the Luzma Pierre. Probably going to be called an own goal, but it's 2-1 Jacksonville.
And I'll tell you what, Cole, if you don't shoot, you can't score, and that's exactly why you get the ball into dangerous areas. Lovely play by Derek Gebhardt, patient enough, made the defender commit, lays it off to J.C. Banks, as we're going to see here on the replay. Just really caught Pierre chasing down, and he makes a sliding tackle to try to save what eventually would have been a cross. But lovely patience by Derek Gebhardt, really baiting Pierre. What might even look like a bit of a handball there, but gets deflected and goes in the back of the net.
I was about to say, if it wasn't an own goal, it might have been a PK, because it looked like Pierre made contact with the hand. So 2-1 Jacksonville, an early goal in the first half and an early goal in the second.
This is one of the plays now that probably would have been reviewed by VAR. Interesting. Technically, there's no advantage on a handball call. So if that was a handball and it would have been called a PK, would a VAR-like situation would have come back to call the PK, or would have they have the continuation of the play?
Yeah, the video-assisted replay, it's sort of the wild, wild west right now, as some of the somewhat unforeseen circumstances that sports and soccer in particular can create. Now one chipped ahead for Kilduff. Kilduff makes it 3-1. J.C. Banks the assist, and the Armada stretch the lead. It's been an explosion out of the locker room for Jacksonville.
And really one of the first times we've called Kieran Kilduff. We talked about him in pregame, but can I just talk about the ball of J.C. Banks? 2 goals and an assist, has taken over this game offensively. You see him there, just a little chip, holds off the defender, and Kieran Kilduff, really just a fun strike, catches all of it. And there's nothing the goalkeeper Peterson could do about that one. What a lovely ball by J.C. Banks. He's having a hell of a game right now.
Kilduff has scored goals at some of the highest levels when you talk about playing in the Euros. And he scores there for the Armada. He was brought in mid-season last year from Ireland. And the real charge for Kilduff was to come in and be a goal scorer. And boy, has he.
Boy, and what a change of game. We talked about goals changing games and changes the momentum. And what point does this gridlock that we saw in the first half, that was really in the midfield played most of the game, one was going to open up. But what part of the second half was going to open up? And he opens up in the first 3 minutes of the game.
You saw Mark Lowry there tapping his temples, saying, all right, play smart here.
This is a dangerous time for Mark Lowry and his side, because Miami United, they have nothing to lose at this point. They're down 2 goals. They have an entire first half to play. So he knows, as Miami United team, they're either going to get one back and make a game out of it, or make this a very difficult game for their Armada to finish.
This is the most goals that Miami United has conceded in a game against an NPSL side this year.
Boy, it just came by an explosive manner, just a matter of 2 minutes apart. I would like to see exactly how far apart those 2 goals were.
They did give up 3 goals to Orlando City in the U.S. Open Cup loss, but not in a match against another NPSL side. Reskine the throw for Miami United.
Be interesting to see what the reaction of Miami United is at this point. We saw a good reaction in the first half when they went down 1-0. They got themselves back into the game. They feel pretty confident, even though the scoreline's 3-1. The next goal really changes his game completely, Cole.
Granito tries to play it through. Mishak Jerome back to ward off McCauley, but a body in front of him. Beg your pardon, that was Dominguez. And Holt able to cover it up. So Jacksonville now up 3-1. And we might point out as well that the last time these two sides met in South Florida, there were red cards on both sides. It was a feisty game, to say the least. And seeing what happened in that game, Mark Lowry wants to make sure that his team plays smart and doesn't get into any sort of pushing and shoving situation. Doesn't want to see either side wind up creating any havoc, and certainly not his side. Doesn't want to see a man advantage being given to the opposition. Yuma then got kicked, and this could be a card, and it is.
Boy, and this is why he's going to, ask. I'll propose the question: what kind of reaction are we going to see from Miami United? This is one of the reactions that we talked about. Are they going to get physical? Are they going to get dirty, or are they going to get themselves back in the game by playing? So the Armada have to be careful now. They should expect this, Cole. They've played them enough. They know what kind of team they are. Now, the longer, if they get kicked, just have to relax, continue to play, because what you don't want is to allow this and to endure this kind of physical game throughout the entire time.
We had mentioned we thought that perhaps Dominguez had gotten the yellow card in the first half. It was officially turned in as Cesar Tejera, the other player who's involved in that one. So Dominguez here getting the yellow card. Here is Gebhardt in the box. Connor Doyle chipping, nobody making a run. And Peterson Oxen unable to handle it easily for Miami United.
That's why Derek Gebhardt has to be a little bit braver. He's got Rick Queen one-on-one. Take him. He's got really no support defender next to him. He's on the edge of the 18-yard box. Take him on. If you're not successful, you didn't lose much. But if you are, you might draw a PK, or he might just let you go.
There's Kilduff coming back for it for Jacksonville. Miami United may be ready to make some more personnel changes. They have Sakani Sinclair, who's an attacking player. Gebhardt again making a charge for it, but this one will be a goal kick for Miami United.
And Derek Gebhardt doesn't really agree with that. He had an opportunity to save the ball, but he felt pretty strong that Pierre had the last touch on it.
Shamar Shelton is taken off the warm-up. and he is going to come in for Miami United. And he will replace Diego Reskin, so attacking player for a more defense-minded player.
And we'll see how this changes their structure. If Gordon comes over to the right-hand side and he's more traditional role as a right back, and see where Shelton slides in, whether he goes into the midfield line, into the higher forward line.
Shenfield likely to spend a little more time on the back line. He's played both as a midfielder and a defender. Castellanos gets pushed from behind by Shenfield.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be. We expected Shenfield to play the left back position, but he started in the midfield on that corner of that diamond, left-hand corner of the diamond. He drops back into his more natural role as a left back. Gordon slides over to his natural role as a right back, and Shelton, more of an attacking player, that slides into the midfield, just bringing one more offensive player to Miami United.
Watch it again here. Pretty clear foul. Could have certainly been a card, but Alberto Escobar keeping the card in his pocket, at least this time. Long ball ahead from Mishak Jerome. Can't get through to Kilduff. No subs so far for the Armada. Not when it's going as well as it has coming out of the locker room. The first minute or so was a bit pokey, and then they really turned things on. Here's Gebhard trying to get ahead to it. Connor Doyle able to get for it for Jacksonville. Now Gebhard on the run. Pierre over to slide tackle the ball away.
It's a good tackle by Pierre.
And he gets kicked by Connor Doyle. And Doyle going to get the yellow card.
You know, and that card is more of a game management card, Cole. Really not necessarily a yellow card. If that's a card, and the previous foul that we saw in Josh Castellanos was not a card. This is just to tell the Miami United players that, listen, I got your back, or I'm going to control you. You don't need to retaliate on the field. I'm here to take care of you. Because if he allows the winning team, the team that's ahead, with the silly late tackles, but he doesn't call on the other side, that's when the game can get a little bit out of control. So once again, I think Alberto Escobar is doing a fantastic job in what could be a very difficult game to ref.
Well, again, we have mentioned the fiery disposition of this Miami United team. And when you're down by 2 goals in the playoffs with just over half an hour to play, that could certainly bubble up. Look at Gebhard making a long run back defending. He ran about 70 yards to get back to that ball and force a throw in for Miami United.
And that's a good speed for speed matchup there with Gordon and as the right back just taking off. And that's where Gebhard has really grown his game, not just on the attacking part of it, but being really defensively responsible in his role also.
Gordon the throw in for Miami United. Another throw coming. This one out for a goal kick for Jacksonville. The winner of this one goes on to take on Miami FC. The other former NASL side, New York Cosmos, they called their team New York Cosmos B, Miami FC calling it Miami FC 2. The Armada not taking a secondary addition to the team. But that being said, there aren't New York Cosmos A playing anywhere, and there's not a Miami FC 1 playing anywhere. So that being said, these are the top teams in those organizations. But all 3 made the playoffs, including the Cosmos, one of 2 teams in the 98-team NPSL to not drop a game or be drawn in a game. Perfect record this year. 10-0-0 for the Cosmos, who, along with Laredo Heat, the only 2 perfect records in the league. McInerney back for the tackle. And a throw-in coming for Miami United. And McCauley down in the box.
Well, I'll tell you what, and that was a well-timed tackle. He got all ball on that tackle, but if he doesn't, that's not only a foul, that's a red card, but he was well-timed on it. It was the last line. If he doesn't touch that, McCauley's going straight into goal. He did get contact on him eventually after he got the ball, but he got a lot of the ball. I think he just fell really hard on it. You see young McInerney there trying to get the crowd involved in the game.
3-1 at one point feels very comfortable. At another point, feels dangerous.
Oh, it's extremely dangerous against a team that we can see how the first goal came about, and we've seen it before. A team that just has a lot of firepower going forward. It's not a team you can sleep on. Plenty of time in the game. If you allow Miami to get a second goal and to get a sniff of the equalizer, they're just going to grow into the game and make this game even faster. So Armada really want to slow this down at every opportunity, be really well organized in the back, not allow for anything as services like this from out wide.
Castellanos trying to close it down. Took the worst of it, and the ball hugging the byline. Finally cleared out. Castellanos went down as well. McCauley head back toward the Miami United bench, now come in.
You talk about a guy that has an engine, Tommy Bautista, and a little bit of attitude as well. Thought he was going to go and help young Castellanos up there. He walked all over there to just whisper some nice things in his ear, I'm assuming. Bautista, a really good player, as you mentioned, a veteran, 32-year-old. He's got a big engine, Tommy just continues to run all game long, nonstop.
Here's Castellanos. At UNF, scored 10 goals in 3 years, was a first-team All-A-Sun performer. Made his pro debut earlier this year against Miami FC. And since then has been a fixture for the Armada. 4 goals and an assist coming into this one, and then assisted on Banks's goal in the first half. Lowry looking on.
Yeah, and right before on screen, he was just tapping once again to his head and letting the players know to stay cool, be smart. You're up 3-1. You're about 30 minutes away from advancing in the playoffs. So be smart. Don't get into the mind games that Miami United are going to try to draw you into.
Spending a long time working on Castellanos, and the Miami United players trying to hurry up the proceedings. And finally, Alberto Escobar has had enough with Miami, sends them off. Castellanos able to get up, and he'll have to stand on the side for the moment. Off the throw in, centered out in front, and ooh, dangerous moment there as Meshach Jerome and Brian Holt both arrived at the same point at the same time. And you can see Bautista getting into it along with Schenfeld, getting into it with Meshach Jerome.
Yeah, Meshach is doing right, just staying away, staying cool from it. So Dominguez and Max trying to get into Meshach's head, just trying to give him a little bit of a shove. Stay away from it, rise above.
Corner kick, Miami United, all the way to the back post. Sent away by the head of McInerney.
That's a dangerous play. Shelton did a good job of keeping the ball in.
That was Castellanos who got in front of that one. He's back on. And Sharpie will track this one down for Jacksonville. Doyle sends it forward. Castellanos had a ball bounce over his head. Kilduff knocked down, got back up. Another slide tackle, and Kilduff wondering when a foul might be called with these tackles from behind.
And Kilduff did well enough to get away from the first defender there, but Schenfield recovering back and making what could have been a breakaway saving tackle. And then now he makes it off the play. Silly foul right in front of the AR and gets a yellow card for his service. And this is going to continue to happen. You see the entire Miami United team going over to the referee, give him a little bit of an opinion of what happened. So far, Jacksonville Armada doing a good job of handling his off to play. Yeah, but he did receive a yellow card. See Shelton just joined the game, and here he's already getting involved with the referees as well. Kilduff just needs to stay above it.
Now they want to send him off for maybe blood on the uniform, blood on the elbow.
Well, he's trying to show the referee how bad he got tackled by showing the blood. Well, if you show blood, you have to come off the field now. You see, once again, we talked about the Miami United's bench as being very animated in the first half. The longer this game carries on and the Armada manages the time as they are now, slowing it down, you're going to see all the entire coaching staff just be up and about, asking and begging for every single call.
So it's becoming easier to note the players who do have yellow cards than don't on Miami United. So far, 4 who are out there with yellow cards for the men in the pink shirts.
We mentioned last time these two teams face each other, those red cards on both sides. The Armada in the lead now, cannot afford to get a red card. But as the game goes on and Miami United have nothing to play for, there's no tomorrow for them, season's technically over, they're going to throw caution to the wind here and they're just going to go for it.
Speaking of red cards, we might point out that Miami FC, who awaits the winner of this one of their leading goal scorers, Jaime Chavez, will not play in the game on Saturday. He received a red card at the first minute of the second half in their final match of the regular season, so he'll miss the first playoff game.
Well, that's a big miss for them. He's such a central point into their attack, one of the leading goal scorers.
Sharpie throws short. Castellanos, little 1-2. Kilduff tries the back heel. Miami able to track it down. You can see even on a throw-in, Miami United players there arguing for a call. And we've seen that regardless of the score, not only tonight, but also in past matches.
Well, that's just, that's the nature of how they play. They like to get involved. They're a passionate group. They like to argue for every call. And right now they're down. You've mentioned they've never allowed, outside of the U.S. Open Cup match against Orlando City, this is an unfamiliar situation for them to be down 2 goals, being up down 3-1. They really don't allow, it's a team that doesn't allow that many goals, so they're often not down in a game. It's certainly not a desperation game, if you would.
One went all the way through. Melvin was back defending. Gebhardt, who's playing a little more recessed role here in the second half, able to come back and clear it for Jacksonville. And then, again, sloppy turnover for the Armada.
Yeah, you can see there Gebhardt and Wesley Sharpie on the right-hand side, both playing more of a true defensive role, knowing that Miami United is going to keep throwing numbers forward.
Ishak Jerome goes down to head it away. J.C. Banks fights for it. Granito gets it for Miami United. Now Tejera. Couldn't get it past Yuma. And now Banks, without a whole lot of help, will smartly slow it down for Jacksonville. He looked and didn't see anybody making a run. The Armada had packed it in pretty well, trying to throw as many blue shirts in between the ball and the goal on that last Miami United possession. Kilduff lifts one, headed forward by Castellanos. Again, the Armada almost taking a little bit of a defensive breather here at this moment.
And Kilduff has to do a little bit better job than that. He pulled away from the tackle, knowing that Miami United are going to go through him. But at this point in the game, he's got to take those tackles to slow the game down and get fouls going into his favor. Armada need a bit of possession from their center player, J.C. Banks, Kilduff. They're not getting a whole lot right now. They're just going to retain and sustain this pressure for the remainder of the game. They got to be able to kill this game with a little bit of possession, maybe try to get that 4th goal to put the game away.
Here's Granito. Coles, who has Max on his shirt. And here comes Melvin coming forward. Mikey Melvin, former Nice star, lost possession to Ilusma Pierre. Ishak Jerome with a big swing.
He's got to be careful with the swing, so that's not the first time tonight that he comes in. He's gotten ball first, but if he misses or just gets a bit of a Miami United player, that's a red card waiting to happen.
Now here's Shamar Shelton, and off his line was Holt, who went down low. McInerney wanted a card on Shelton for making contact with the goalkeeper, but it did appear it was outside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, but still Shelton, Brian Holt had the ball in his hand. It looked that obviously he's going to get to it first. I think Shelton just went all the way through and put his foot right in there. That's a card, Cole. That's a dangerous play. No reason for a play if you respect another professional to put your foot in there nearly on his face.
are Lisa Martinez and Julia German.
Another sub coming up for Miami United as they work on Shelton. And it's Gabrielle Privatera rather.
Seems like he's coming in for Thomas Garnido in the midfield. We haven't called upon his name too much in the second half.
Coming onto the field, number 20 for number 8.
With Garnido coming off, that's a guy without a yellow card, by the way, but also, as you've mentioned, a guy who's willing to take shots from distance, and we've seen him do that.
Yeah, and Granido's more of a deep line center midfield player. He plays next to Tejada. Seems like they're going to drop Dominguez into that role and push Privatera a little bit higher, which seems to be more of like an attacking, creative player. Just trying to get more offense built in for Miami United.
Is there a point in this contest as the clock continues to roll that Mark Lowry starts thinking about saving legs for Saturday against Miami FC? As Nathan Walter mentioned at halftime, a lot of Saturday, Wednesdays here piling up for the Armada. So might you start making some changes?
Armada substitution coming on.
Well, I think answering your question, I think you're going to see a change here, which is a natural change. We'll call Cole. He should be on the sideline over there sometimes.
Camilo Portilla coming in and Joshua Castellanos coming out. So Portilla, who can really run, comes in, first substitution for the Armada, and Castellanos, who always runs a lot. You can see he's just caked in sweat. Will have a seat here in the 70th minute. We'll watch Portilla, fresh legs, young legs, and a guy who can really fly as well. A lot of pace out there with his substitution. Here he is, Portilla, the young Colombian.
And I like this change for Coach Lowry because what he's saying with this change is that we're not going to lock it in. We need a little bit more offense than we're getting right now. Typically, a change to lock it in would have been Silva for Castellanos. But Portillo, he can, as you see here, just give you immediate offense.
Free kick coming for Jacksonville on the foul by Elusma Pierre. And this one settles right into the Jerome zone, where Meshach Jerome loves to unload the howitzer blasts. He scored last time out from about this distance on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, we typically see him favor the opposite angle of the field, but at last week's game call, he was striking from anywhere on the field, and he was hitting frame. He was inspired. So hopefully he's got a little bit of left from last week. Once again, a player like Portillo, he just creates so many opportunities with him and Gebhardt on the field at the same time. A lot of pace, a lot of individual ability.
It'll be interesting to see whether the Armada start to settle in a little bit more defensively, playing balls over the top for those two speedsters.
Yeah, and I think what you saw the change here is J.C. Banks rotating a little bit deeper and allowing Portillo to play high.
Here's Meshach Jerome sending one toward the goal and wide and bouncing in front of Squid Vicious, the Armada Squid there behind the goal. That one a little more swerve than Meshach wanted.
Yeah, and typically good free kick takers, they have their go-to free kick, either with their laces or they like to curve it in, a little more finesse. I never know what Meshach's going to do. We've seen him hit it with absolute power from distance, hit it with finesse from distance with a lot of speed behind it. Oftentimes when I think he's choosing the wrong technique, he puts it on frame, so you never know with him.
3-1 Armada. J.C. Banks, a goal in the 8th minute. Banks created what probably will be called an own goal in the 47th, and then the assist for Banks on the Kieran Kilduff goal in the 49th minute. Well, J.C. Banks has been Mr. Everything for the Armada as far as goal scoring tonight.
And he's playing his third position tonight. He started as a left wing back in a 3-5-2. He's rotated as a second forward, playing underneath Kilduff, and now he's going over to playing that more of like a right attacking mid wing back position. Very complex style of play that Coach Lowry applies with his team, that he applies with his team. Offensively, they're in a 3-5-2. Defensively, they're in a 4-5-1.
Right now, there's Kilduff. You see the Irishman running up top, trying to put a little bit of pressure. on the back line for Miami United. Melvin back to defend. Got grabbed, able to stay up with the foul called. Again, you're seeing a little bit of desperation starting to creep in here for Miami United.
Well, Armada doing a good job of pressing up high on Pierre and Navarre and center backs, not allowing them to build out of the back and really just, you know, welcome pressure into your own half, force them to play a little bit longer. And Mikey Melvin doing a good job of handling that ball over the top.
McInerney hits a long ball, headed on by Kilduff. Now here's Portilla. Camilo Portilla to Kilduff. A chance for another, and he delivers. Kieran Kilduff's second goal of the match, and the Armada are pouring it on Miami United.
And we talk about instant offense from young Camilo Portilla, and that's exactly what he gives you. Kilduff wins the first flick over the top. Portilla doing a really good job, showing a lot of patience and maturity to just wait for the support run to come, and Kilduff as good as he can be, calm, cool, and collected, just stuffs it away from Peterson's reach, and really almost putting this game out of reach for Miami United.
Such a calm delivery on the goal for Kilduff. Jacksonville with a 4-goal night, and the night is not over. Still at least 15 minutes plus stoppage time remaining.
Now, we've always known and we've seen the Armada having the ability to put on performances like this. We've waited game in game. We saw early in the season against a rather depleted Storm FC team, putting 7 on them. But typically the Armada create a lot of chances, but they stay within that 2 to 3 goal range from game to game. Sometimes even don't produce the final product. Tonight, the barn door is open, and they're just pouring on Miami United.
Well, and as we mentioned, a lot of that created by a chance to play a long ball over the top with the speed of Portilla, and now a goalkeeper change coming up. You're watching the Haitian goalkeeper Peterson Oxenant go off, and he'll be subbed on for by Facundo Grinberg. So a goalkeeper change. Remember, Oxenant also had the yellow card earlier for dissent.
Yeah, I think just looking over in the sideline, looking at the bench, Oxenant just very frustrated, gesturing quite a bit. I think it's one of those, coach took him out, just couldn't handle the frustration of being down at this point. Having a yellow card early in the game for showing his frustration. Now, this probably at this point in the game is we're going to start seeing Coach Lowry maybe make a defensive change, bring a B-man on, or bringing Silva into the midfield, trying to secure this game. And this is good for the Armada because Miami United, we mentioned the next goal, whether it's going to be a 3-2 or 4-1 scoreline, the next goal is really going to change the tempo of the game.
And it changed it in the favor of the Armada. Here's Portilla. Turning on the acceleration. Gebhard to his left. That's speed and speed over on this near side for Jacksonville. Played back now to Mikey Melvin. He'll return it to Brian Holt.
And that's really good. That's really good decision making for Jacksonville Armada, for the younger players in Gebhard and Camilo Portilla, Mikey Melvin alike. Just recycle back, not put extra pressure going forward, not having to get the 5th goal right away, but making Miami United have to defend, have to run around a little bit more.
Miami United finishing 3rd in the Sunshine Conference this year. Able to extract a point in each of the regular season matches between these two sides, but the Armada getting some revenge here tonight in the playoffs. Kilduff with Portilla out in front. Kilduff couldn't carry it through. Doyle intercepts that one. Now Yuma. Out wide for Derek Gebhard. Portilla again. Gebhard with Melvin making the overlapping run.
And that was a good idea from both of them. Mikey Melvin actually made that run originally. Gebhard didn't quite see him, and then when he finally saw him, Mikey would have been offside, so he stopped his run. But good ideas for Jacksonville Armada and the younger players, especially on this left-hand side, to see Portilla, Gebhard, and Mikey Melvin just showing a lot of maturity towards the end of this game here. maturity gained through minutes and minutes within the season.
12 minutes regulation time remaining. There should be some stoppage time as well. McInerney clears it out. Now it falls to Daryl Gordon for Miami United. Miami United's going to make another substitution here shortly as well. They're throwing everybody they can find at Jacksonville tonight.
Well, at this point, they really got to try everything and just put as many numbers forward as they can. If they can somehow generate 2 quick goals here in the next 5 minutes, unlikely, but not impossible, Cole. We've seen crazy things happen in the soccer world.
Miami United substitution coming onto the field.
This will be
26 for number 18.
Fernando Aguirre coming in for Batista Dominguez. Dominguez, big factor in the first half, not as much here in the second half.
No, not really. They haven't had much of possession in the second half, and he got dropped into a lower role as the second half went, as Granito came off the field.
Remember, Dominguez did have a yellow, although at this point, I wouldn't think that would be a huge factor for Miami United. They wouldn't be as worried about either accumulation or even an ejection at this point. As you mentioned, throwing caution to the wind, probably going to be the better part of the game plan here for Miami United over the last 10 minutes plus.
Well, probably more just frustration, taking his top players off, and Dominguez and Peterson and Granito. A game that's really getting to become out of hand now at this point with the score line. Trying to get some young blood into the field, some guys that just really want to get on the field and play. Dominguez, one of the leaders on the team, to being down with 10 minutes left in the game, down 4-1.
When the Armada last played against Miami United here at Hodges Stadium, a 0-0 draw. Jacksonville outshot Miami United 17-9. They felt like they outplayed Miami United pretty dramatically. In fact, Mark Lowry told me he thought that in all 3 matches this year, the Armada had been the better team, but had yet to get the result they wanted. And they're getting that result tonight.
Well, I think that's fair to say. I think most of the games have really gone this very similar way. The difference tonight is the Armada have been putting their chances away.
Kilduff fouled again.
Creating opportunities have never been the issue for the Jacksonville Armada. It's really converting those opportunities. And tonight, the brilliant play of J.C. Banks early in the game, Joshua Castellanos with the setup, and having killed off with 2 fantastic finishes. Chances that we've seen and we've called them over and over again throughout the season, but they haven't gone into the Armada's favor. And today, all the cards are falling.
Here's Portilla. He's onside. Camilo Portilla making a turn. He's got Gebhardt to the inside. Derek Gebhardt tries to return back to Portilla, but Pierre was there to defend for Miami United.
Most likely would have been offsides anyways. Derek Gebhardt, once again, just got to be a little bit more selfish when he gets into the box.
Miami United on the counter now. This is Privatera trying to step through between defenders. No whistle. McInerney clears it out for Jacksonville. Again, Portilla and Gebhardt up high. 2 Armada players with 2 more coming in support. Gebhardt on the charge. Into the box. Taken down. Play on, says referee Alberto Escobar.
Well, that's good from Derek Gebhardt. That's a great tackle from Pierre, but that's really good from Gebhardt. Trust your speed. Pierre has no support behind him. He has to go to ground. He has to make a save like that. Otherwise, Derek Gebhardt is going to be allowed to get into the box, get into the goal, or maybe even suffer a foul. Continue to do that more and more times. You're going to get success.
Here's Schenfeld coming forward. The Armada 7.5 minutes plus stoppage time away from advancing in their first ever playoff game. Cleared out by Sharpie. It'll be a throw in for Miami United. What a supportive crowd tonight here at Hodges Stadium, and the Armada will make a substitution. Connor Doyle will come off. And Christian Silva will come on. So as you mentioned, this is the kind for kind midfield player.
Well, absolutely, and I thought he may actually come on with Connor Doyle and Yuma in the midfield, just really to secure the midfield play. Remember, Connor Doyle is on a yellow card from a late tackle he had early in the second half. So this is one of those tactical changes to make sure that one of these players is not locked up and doesn't have a chance to maybe get a second yellow.
Silva did start a few games for the Armada this year. Has often been among the first off the bench. You see McInerney.
A very, very good player, very mature player, understands his role really well.
Free kick here coming for Miami United. Coles over the top of it. And Schenfeld out wide of it.
Schenfeld getting a long approach here, looking like it might be a cross.
Schenfeld in swinger, overhit it, and drove it all the way out of the track.
He just had an awkward angle coming in, trying to swing that to the back post. Didn't get enough rotation on the ball, and the ball just drifted away, making Brian Holt have to go. All of a sudden, the ball men have disappeared. The ball boys have disappeared.
Probably not a huge obstacle for Brian Holt. He'll allow a little extra time here. And here in the final 5 minutes regulation time, where you may see some veteran tactics for the likes of Meshach Jerome and Kilduff and Yuma. Guys who know how to kill games off. Jerome, long diagonal pass, cut off by Gordon for Miami United. The Armada will want to keep playing. Sprint through the finish line, as they say. Foul this time, Sharpie making contact over there with a Miami United player.
Yeah, I just didn't see the player coming from behind him, lift up, trying to get to the ball. Certainly a dangerous play.
Now they're going to give a yellow card for Sharpie because of contact to the face. Sharpie says, just because he said contact to the face. Let's take another look here. Is this a yellow card? Leg was up.
Yeah, he just put his leg in a dangerous area. I mean, that's the referee's discretion at that point. He didn't see the player coming behind him. He had position on the ball, but he put his leg in an unnatural position, as they like to call it.
Now a free kick from distance for Miami United. This one swung in toward the top of the box, free for a moment, but it takes an Armada bounce, and Gebhard will bring it out to Portilla. Portilla couldn't maintain possession. Miami United a chance to create the counter once again here. Out wide for Shelton. Bad touch for Shelton. Throw in for Jacksonville. Keeping an eye on that clock.
Well, and at this point, Coach Lowry wants to see how his team is able to finish a game and put a team away and not feel like he's under pressure in the last 5 minutes of the game that you're winning 4-1.
Here's Brian Beamitt coming in for Jacksonville, the next opportunity. And he'll replace Kieran Kilduff. So Beamitt, former Puerto Rico FC player.
Yeah, it's another trusted player for Coach Lowry. Has really been coming off the bench arguably every single game in more of a supporting role, sometimes as a midfield player. And you can just see there Coach Lowry, the respect that he has for his captain.
All smiles on the Armada bench right now. Beamitt comes in. Loyola Chicago alum. Yuma in the midfield, pokes it wide. Sharpie will play it back to J.C. Banks.
And Yuma just loves to direct traffic in there, calm his team down, show his maturity.
Banks a little bit of a heavy touch, able to track back to it in concert with Meshach Jerome. Oh, a nifty little backheel play by Wes Sharpie there. Long ball ahead, Beamitt's running after it. Grinberg comes off out of his box to clear it back out for Miami United.
A lovely little ball from Wesley Sharpie there.
Silva directing some traffic as well. McInerney's long ball changing fields. Sharpie calling for the handball. 2 minutes regulation time remaining. The Armada up 4-1 in the playoffs, looking to advance to take on their old NASL rivals, Miami FC, on Saturday in South Florida.
And this game will give them some good confidence, a good momentum going down to Miami, which is going to be a tough opposition. Miami does not play today, so they have the recovery. They have the opportunity to scout their Armada. They know each other well enough from the NSL days and having played already this season a few times. Armada haven't had the success against Miami FC, beating them 1-0 here at Hodges Stadium.
Portilla was fouled. See the young Colombian there. You really like his tools.
I do. I think he's a player that, as he continues to grow and continues to gain maturity in how to play all functions and all phases of the game, he's got what we call the X factor, so something special about him. He knows how to get away from pressure. His capability is really good, and you can just watch him grow from game to game.
See Beeman making a run, harassing the goalkeeper Grinberg.
Don't know if early in the season the assist he gave to Kieran Kickoff in the last goal, I don't know if early in the season he makes that pass. I think he takes that on, but he's matured as a player. He understood what it's like to be a team player and earn his time.
Now Miami United down to their last minute plus. The Armada with a 3-goal advantage. All they want to do is salt away this one.
A player that I've been really impressed with the past couple of weeks is Shane McInerney, the young Irish center back. He's just really stepped in and became a leader in the back line, secure. He reads the game really well, good out of the back, good left and right foot.
We're hearing 5 minutes of stoppage time coming up. There's another foul on Miami United as Pierre put a shoulder into Beeman. 5 minutes remaining.
5 minutes have been added to
That's all the Armada have to withstand in order to advance to Saturday's conference championship game against Miami FC. When the season began, if you looked at the Sunshine Conference and understood the rosters, you probably would have said that these three teams, Miami FC, the Armada, and Miami United, would be the three teams at the top of the table. They were. And it will be no surprise that the two former NASL sides, who had to find refuge here in the Sunshine Conference this year, will meet for the conference championship.
Right, and that was going to be that was the expectation at the beginning of the year. Right, get to the playoffs, and I think everyone looking at this league, and you talk about the Cosmo being a team that has not dropped the points in 10 games. You know, those are the three teams that everybody was looking at, how they're going to transition into the NPSL and how successful they're going to be.
Giovanni Vasquez going to sub on as well here. He'll replace Derek Gebhardt. Vasquez, young player, 22 years old. Very accurate passer is his reputation.
Yeah, and a defender. He's going to come into the back line and rotate Mikey Melvin into the left wing back.
The Armada, in essence, going with 5 defenders here. With Sharpie playing a deeper position here, along with Melvin.
Talk about the influence that Derek Gebhardt had in this game. Wasn't really seeing much of the game early in the first half, first 15, 20 minutes, playing in a more of a central role. Wasn't finding the game, wasn't keeping possession. Coach Lowry rotated him out wide. That changed the game with him and J.C. Banks coming in a little more central.
Beeman able to control it. In stoppage time here, the Armada. A 4-1 lead. J.C. Banks. Kieran Kilduff scored twice. Banks created an own goal. Those two each had a brace a couple of weeks ago. Now here they are again delivering for the Armada.
Wayne, that's what you expect from your veteran players. That's why Coach Lowry and Nathan Walters brought players like Kilduff and retained J.C. Banks. Yuma, you see in the dying minutes of the game, is still battling. A veteran player, played in La Liga, and is still coming out here and giving his all. That's why you have players like that, so you can get to a point like this, you can get to a playoff game, secure the lead.
And here comes Micah Smoke, former UNF player. He'll have his chance to get on the pitch. Good moment for Micah here to be able to play in a playoff game for the Armada. He'll replace Wes Sharpie.
It's good to see Coach Lowry at this point in the game having the ability to put some of the younger players that have been putting their time in the training field all summer long. And if there's an opportunity to replace him, even if it's on the dying moments of the game, I guarantee you this is a good moment for Micah Smoker to just get on the field, to experience what it's like to be a pro and playing at this level.
There's another local player who might get a chance here in the final moments as well. Mitchell Hopkins, former JU player, played for you.
Yeah, coached against Joshua Castellanos and coached against Micah Smoker for the past couple of years, and had the pleasure to coach Mitchell Hopkins. And their Armada organization have just done a really good job with working with the local clubs and local universities to try to give younger players an opportunity. And that's an example of the two players, Mitchell Hopkins from JU and Micah Smoke from UNF. You see Micah doing well, winning his first tackle, completing a pass. And that's what it's all about, right? You want to be successful. You want to put a good product on the field, but you also want to engage your community. You want to grow the sport in your city.
Smoke's got that big body, too. A guy who can play physically, also has skill.
Tough player. Him and Joshua Castellanos both have given me a lot of sleepless nights past couple of years. I'm glad to see them on Armada uniform now, I'll tell you that much.
Here's J.C. Banks inside the final minute of stoppage time. Be a throw in for Miami United. Beeman tried to take it away. They give the free kick to Miami United. How much longer will this one be allowed to go? This one chipped toward the box, headed away by Meshach Jerome. Again, Jerome sends it out. We're past 5 minutes. How long will referee Alberto Escobar let it go? Fans calling for the whistle. Free kick coming here. A little more time will be given. Escobar looked at his watch. And that's it. In the first playoff game in Armada history, Jacksonville dominates. A 4-1 final. The Armada will move on to face Miami FC on Saturday for the conference championship. And beyond that, regionals and nationals await. What a performance by the Armada here on their home pitch.
Well, they took care of their opportunities as they came today. Not many opportunities. A Miami United team that we talked about early, stingy defensively, doesn't give you a whole lot. And if you allow them in the game, they can hurt you. Armada were able to turn around the chances, put them away, and coming out here with a 4-1 victory. It's well-deserved.
Mark Lowry is going to be happy. He went 1-1 today. England losing in the World Cup, Armada winning here. I think this will take some of the sting out of the England loss for Mark. He will certainly celebrate this one, but not much time to turn around as the Armada have to travel down to South Florida to take on Miami FC. In the moment we have left here, Mauricio, what can we expect from that one?
It's going to be a great matchup. That's the matchup that I think everybody was expecting at the beginning of the season. Coming out of here healthy with no red cards, going there with the full roster. It's really what Coach Lowry is looking for, and great momentum going into what's going to be a tough game against Miami FC.
Mark Lowry and the Armada can celebrate. 2 goals by Kieran Kilduff, 1 by J.C. Banks, and Banks creating another on an own goal. A 4-1 final. The Armada, in their 4th try, beat Miami United FC. Next up, they'll try to conquer the rest of South Florida as they take on Miami FC on Saturday. What a performance by the Armada today. Yuma celebrating with the rest of them. A day to celebrate, an occasion to celebrate soccer in Jacksonville. And the Armada providing the fireworks in a 4-1 victory for Mauricio Ruiz and our entire crew. Cole Pepper saying thanks for watching Armada Soccer right here on Channel 4.